Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It is Marvin speaking. I hope everyone's having a great day. We're just going to get into a video in a minute, but I'm going to read an article after the video and it explains the details of the lawsuit Amy Bradley's family filed after her disappearance. And what I notice is there's a lot that wasn't talked about on the Netflix documentary. And sometimes, obviously, Netflix are there to earn money and they want to obviously narrate it their way. So let me just get straight into this. Let's go.
I've been following the Amy Bradley case for years now, and here's something that the Netflix documentary failed to mention. In 2002, 4 years after Amy had gone missing, her parents decided to sue the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line for negligence in how they handled her disappearance. The case ended up being dismissed by the judge. Bradleys were found to have perpetrated fraud against the courts because during their depositions, they withheld witness statements that contradicted their claims that Amy had been taken off the ship forcefully. You can read about this all online. I'm only giving you the facts of what I read. Going back and I'm digging into all the things I had previously read, because as you'll know, a documentary can't include absolutely every important piece of information, but a documentary can skew the public opinion in a way that they think will drive ratings and more views. So it's good to take everything with a grain of salt and really to do your own research. The Bradleys sued the Royal Caribbean twice, once for negligence and how they handled the case, and then another time for wrongful death. But when they withheld that information from the deposition, the Bradleys said it was a consideration of the welfare of Amy. AKA, Amy is still alive. We don't want to harm her in this process by giving out information for whatever reason. But they then sued them for wrongful death. But there's no evidence that Amy had passed away yet. But if you want to read about the court cases against the Royal Caribbean by the Bradleys, I would highly recommend it because there is information in there that was not put on Netflix. And I find it highly interesting because, like I said, in a documentary, you can't have the full story in 3 episodes.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And obviously, Netflix would have to obviously narrate it into what they want to put out there to obviously get views and make money on it. It's just as simple as that about Netflix, to be honest with you. But like I said, I think a lot of people made a lot of money out of that. I thought Sarah here did make some great points. I'm just going to read, before I get into this article, I'm just going to read some stuff in the chat. Seeing the Amy Bradley story go from a woman who was possibly trafficked and realizing that it was possibly a tragic queer story this entire time has been so insane. I agree. She felt overboard, give up. There's real crimes that need solving. But there's no proof her body was never found. Although that is some people's assumption. I've said this before, people care more about the idea of the conspiracy case of trafficking than the actual 1,000 of young women and girls that are trafficked daily. Exactly, they're obsessed with YouTube women with connection and somehow being trafficked, even though 90% of the time that's not how it happened. I agree, it's some good points. You say that until your family is a member. Yeah. If she was alive and trafficked, do we really think she would have survived all these years? No way, the case is so big, they would have killed her off. Yeah, definitely. I agree. Let me know what you think of those messages, people. But this is from the tab online, tab.com. And it goes on to say, explain the details of the lawsuit Amy Bradley's family filed after her disappearance. Her family lied in court and it was missed out in the Netflix documentary. Wow. At the end of Amy Bradley's missing on Netflix, a lawsuit had been mentioned, but the documentary series then ended. No context to the court case is given. In March 1998, Amy Bradley went missing. She had been on a family holiday on the Royal Caribbean cruise ship. In 1999, the Bradleys filed a lawsuit against Royal Caribbean. A message screen read, "At the time, Royal Caribbean stated it acted appropriately and responsibly at all times." Ultimately, the lawsuit was dismissed. Here's a rundown of what happened in full. And so basically, what was the lawsuit the family of Amy Bradley filed and what happened? In 1999, the Bradleys filed 2 lawsuits against the Royal Caribbean as per Travel Weekly. They were sought damages for alleged negligence, defamation, and intentional emotional damage. Royal Caribbean said it acted appropriately and responsibly at all times. A statement at the time added, "We are sorry, despite all the efforts to assist the Bradley family, they were apparently decided to direct the grief off the company by filing a lawsuit seeking financial damages." The company also said it had fully cooperated with law enforcement authorities and said crew members have voluntarily undergone polygraph tests given to the FBI. The lawsuit was dismissed in 2000. The Bradley family lied in court. What was the big part of the lawsuit being dismissed was that they found that the Bradley family had lied in court. A judge called out the family for making numerous exaggerated claims under oath that had no basis in the law. Oh, according to law.com. Wow. The lawsuit was dismissed after it was found that Amy's parents, Ivor and Ron, had perpetrated a fraud on the court by giving false answers. The defense in depositions. The judge is reported to have found the Bradleys failed to disclose contact with a witness who contradicted their claims that Amy had been taken from the ship against her will. The Bradleys defended their actions and said they had good reason to believe Amy is still alive. They insisted they only withheld information for a short time and later shared all information that had been requested by the Royal Caribbean lawyers. It does make you think. That's a little bit on that. It does make you think, was this about money? To be honest with you, because like I said, some people think that obviously there were strange things going on between Amy and her brother. I'm not so sure about that, to be honest. I haven't really looked into this deeply, but like I said, maybe it was to put Amy's. Maybe the family don't really know what happened to Amy at the end of the day. There's a massive, there is a possibility she went overboard and her body was never found. But some of the eyewitnesses that they definitely saw her, the taxi driver, especially in those early months, that was kind of odd. It does make you wonder why not even one of the family stayed on the island. That is quite odd as well. It's bizarre. I mean, you've got to look at it the other way as well. I sort of look at all options. Is this a money spinner for the family to get a payout through Netflix and telling their story, or is it more to it? Let me know what you think, people. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment and follow the channel. Thank you. Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. This is the part 2. Amy Bradley, her parents lied in court. And this is by Enriched Talks, who's followed the case a long, long time. Let's get straight into this. This is very interesting, people.
Let's talk Amy Bradley. This is probably going to be my last video. Based on what I discovered in the dismissed case of her parents. So her parents in 99 sued Royal Caribbean for negligence and how they handled Amy's disappearance and for wrongful death. But they said she's alive. They always said she was alive. But they sued Royal Caribbean for wrongful death. Let's get into it. So the Bradley sued in 99. It was dismissed in October 2000. And it's alarming of what the circuit court judge said as to why he dismissed it. His name is Circuit Court Judge Stuart Simmons. And he said the Bradleys, the parents, the mom and dad, perpetuated a fraud against the court during the case. So what does that mean? When they sued Royal Caribbean, there was a deposition. Royal Caribbean's attorneys can ask them questions, and they have to be truthful. I don't know if you're under oath or not, but
yes,
you have to be truthful.
Under oath.
You can't withhold evidence. If they ask you a question, you have to answer that question fully and truthfully. Well, remember, the Bradleys said that Amy was forcefully taken off of ship. Evidently, there was a ton of people who were on the ship. I'm assuming it's crew and people who paid, because Royal Caribbean, you know, they're interviewing people, and also the Bradley's attorney, they're interviewing people. So I don't know if it was the Bradley's attorney who interviewed these people or what. But there was a lot of people who answered, who, when asked, hey, did you see her forcefully taken off or anything like that? The judge said that those people's statements conflicted with what the Bradleys said. So I don't know if those people said, well, no, she left on her own accord. Or, no, we didn't see that. Or, no, we saw this. I don't know what those people said. It's not public, or I can't find it. But what does it mean to conflict? It conflicted with their statements that she was taken off the ship forcefully, whatever these people said. So I guess the judge found out. I don't know if they talked to the Bradley's attorney. However, they found it was a ton of people who had conflicting information. So the judge said, well, you didn't provide the information of the people who had conflicting information with what you said happened on the ship. So it's dismissed. Not only that, Royal Caribbean asked the judge to fine the Bradley's attorney $171,000. So does that mean that the attorneys did something? Are they the ones that withheld it? I don't know. But all I know is that this is a doggone cluster. Then, of course, the Bradleys admitted it. So at least they admitted it, and they said, well, our daughter was in danger, and we didn't want to bring that conflicting information to light because it could have put her in more danger. How? Not by telling the court during a court case that you brought up. It's one thing if you're interviewing people. Let's say your attorney is interviewing people on the boat. I don't know if this happened. Let's just hypothetically. Your attorney is interviewing a lot of people, and a lot of what they're saying is the opposite of what you're saying. I can understand you not bringing that information to the media. I kind of understand you doing it because you still want people looking for your daughter. But if all these people saying, no, that didn't happen, are you wasting people's time who are looking?
Well, they probably didn't think so many people would actually come forward, and obviously conflicted information of what the Bradleys said were technically deemed as lying. That's out there at the end of the day because they didn't get any money for it, and it just seemed like they did want to sort of. I thought they were treated kind of badly the way the director of the boat, this Kurt guy, was going on. I thought it was bizarre. I do think there was a little bit of a cover-up and something dodgy going on, but it can't be proven. It's just hearsay, to be honest with you. Yes, there were eyewitnesses that claim they saw Amy, but like I said, that's a small island. It's incredible how she wasn't found, and I don't really think she's actually still alive at this present moment. I really, really don't, especially with all this coming out as well. Why would someone still keep a hold of her after all this time, because she'd be in her 50s now? Carrie says the family should have been arrested. The brother at it again with 59 more stories of what could have happened. Yeah, a lot of people I've noticed, as the more this story goes on, the more people get a bit more suspicious about the family, and it's getting kind of bizarre, to be honest with you. It really is. And I guess
are looking. You see what I'm saying? So it's hard to tell. So they admitted it, and they said why they did it, because they felt she was still in danger.
Bizarre.
I don't know, y'all.
Absolutely bizarre.
It's just, this is crazy. I feel bad most for Amy. She's the victim in all of this. Now, this case has so much. It's sullied. It's dirty. I was trying to figure out a logical way of why these timelines are different. Why was the timeline one thing 5 days after she disappeared and it's different now? Why were the events different then than they're different now? Why is it so much contradiction in stories and times and events? Go look at the court documents or the summary. Law.com has it.
Law.com has it, people.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think this will be my last one about the Amy Bradley case, unfortunately. But still continue to ask questions. If I see something compelling, if something groundbreaking comes out, I can make a video response to it. But I'm working on I'm just going to shift my focus on other cases. I'll get into Ray Rivera, Madeleine McCain. You guys asked for Maura Murray. You asked for Aisha Degree. I did a couple. I need to add some more. Robert Wone. One about another guy it's a young guy who crashed his car and disappeared, like in farmland. I got to go back and see his name. But yeah, I have a ton of comments of what you all want me to do. Jean-Bernet Ramsey. So I'm going to start researching those and putting videos out on those. But I don't want to say I'm disgusted by this information, but I just feel, I don't know.
That was Enriched Talks. Very, very, went into it in depth and thinking what I was thinking. I think is this about money for the Bradleys? So he just says the conflict was that it was wrongful death lawsuit, but the family withheld the fact that Amy was seen and these sightings were reported to them. So therefore, Royal Caribbean can't be at fault of wrongful death since she was believed to be alive. And it's also perjury to deny crucial facts that she was seen by over 50 people on the island. They asked for her to be declared legally dead, specifically to the lawsuit, despite the fact that they received several reports on the contrary. Regardless, it was or was not still living. They omitted the reports of the sightings, and that is why this was considered fraud and dismissed. Thank you very much for that. I mean, I am pretty disappointed in that, and I think that should have been brought to light because that was kept a bit quiet. Because even though there's a high possibility that she could have been trafficked as well, but like I said, this could have been about money for the Bradleys, and we don't know whether at this moment they were in on it or not. But it's kind of odd. And are they blaming other people like Yellow for this, even though he did come across a bit dodgy? It's quite bizarre now because, like I said, there's so many avenues you can go down on this case.